Okay, I'm gonna try something. This might completely fuck up, but I'm up and running now, and I got a new modem from AT&T. So, I'm on. Mic check, mic check. Okay, now. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, because the other day I didn't have anything on. I was just streaming, and when I looked at the video, it was all choppy. That's why I didn't stream this morning. And because I think it was the one I did yesterday. It was within the last day or two, and I'm just like, oh shit. But this is looking pretty good. And that's what it took me longer. It took me longer than it should have, but I got the new modem up and running, and it does seem to be better. It absolutely so, you know, in the twilight of my life, as my health gets better, I at least got good internet to surf with. Hey, that brings me to the first call to action that I want to ask for. Please reach out to the people you vote for and ask them to legalize assisted suicide, because yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not even sure I could do passable volunteer work, but I'm thinking, and it's the season. There's a movie called Scrooge, or Scrooged, with Bill Murray, and I can't think of the girl's name. She's in I think two of the Indiana Jones movies, and he was dealing with these people, and they worked for her, and he made a comment about them being incompetent. And she goes, they're volunteers and it's Christmas. And he's like, I'm positive they're like that every day of the week. It's not, he was taking it as a fucking excuse. And he's like, I'm pretty sure they're like that every day of the week. And that's the way I kind of feel like, I realize what's wrong with me. I deal with it every day almost. And nobody in their right mind's going to pay for it. They wouldn't even pay you enough to starve to death on, let alone enough to live on. Health doesn't seem to be getting better, and things would not be so urgent if I didn't have family members trying to steal from me. I got a sister, and I think my oldest brother and brother-in-law are in on it, but I really don't know. But the house was originally supposed to be left to me in the will. And I don't know if it would have been for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but the money that I inherited may not have been enough to get me until till I can actually access my 401ks and get old enough for, because I don't know what it is anymore. It used to be you could retire at 55, and I'm a couple years away from that, but I'm not sure if it's 58 or 62. But the Republicans have fucked the working people and the working poor, at least since the 1980s. When Ronald Reagan was, that little punk ass motherfucker was calling them welfare queens or whatever the fuck, and maybe some of them were, but he attacked them. And it ain't been right ever since. I look at the shit my brother's going through, well, and the stuff I've gone through just trying to get approved. Um, I am pretty sure that if I was, and and again, I don't really care what it is. I mean, it ain't right. But some of the questions I got during this, especially from the people that worked for Social Security, they were asking me, like, oh, well, did you have a good childhood? Yeah, I had a great childhood. I had two parents that were really good, and I'm not gonna. I mean, and I gotta be honest with you. Seriously, go ahead and get legalized assisted suicide because I would rather die than throw my parents under the bus so I can get a fucking meal. I really would. I don't mean I don't mean that lightly, but I had good parents growing up, and I'm not gonna throw them under the bus just so I can, and to me, what should that matter? Whatever it is, I don't care if I had a great life or a bad life. If I can't work, I should be qualified now. I should I shouldn't be considered a second class citizen because I had good parents. I shouldn't. And and then the questions about if I'm an alcoholic or if I'm a drug addict, and it's the same way. I'm not trying to take anything away from those people. I'm really not. But if I am qualified for disability, like if somebody with a drug addict like me is qualified to get assistance, then I should be qualified to get assistance. The fact that they're even asking you if you're a drug addict or an alcoholic, again, just because I'm not a junkie, just because I'm not a substance abuse, I shouldn't be a second class citizen. I really shouldn't. And if minimum wage, like if minimum wage was where it should be, around $20 an hour, yeah, I could probably go out and get some fucking dead end job and pay myself. But even then, I don't know if they would hire me. I mean, literally, I fell and broke my leg walking from the kitchen to the porch, and I shattered it. And again, I don't think anybody's gonna pay for that. I don't think anybody's gonna. I don't even think volunteer work would want you, but that would be a whole different thing. But being a volunteer doesn't pay the fucking bills. And I don't care whether it's assistance. I don't care if it's a minimum wage job. I am being completely honest. If I am gonna have to fight and struggle just to barely avoid starving, I'd rather check out. I really would. I don't mean it in a bad way. I had a I had good parents. With the shit going on now, I don't know if I can honestly say I got good siblings with the shit they're pulling now because in the will I was supposed to inherit the house, and there's a whole lot of reasons for it that I'm not even sure they know about. But my sister got the will changed as my mom was dying from cancer. The will and everything was signed 20 days before my mom died. And I do think the deputy or the sheriff's department maybe helped out this much. They were pretty fucking useless. But she hasn't been bugging us. We've been here. It's been almost a year since I broke my ankle. It's been more than a year since my mom died, and she's not now. As far as I know, she's not using the money from the trust to pay the house insurance. She isn't giving me the money from the trust like she's supposed to. It says right in there that when we ask for money, she's got no discretion. She's, and again, I'm sorry. It seems to me, because I was being told by various people that if they did certain things, it would be illegal. Well, yet there doesn't seem anybody to enforce these laws. Not a fucking bit. And but I don't know when and if we're gonna lose the house because she ain't paying the taxes. I don't think. And there's money. There's money that should be there from the house set the sale of the farm equipment and the fucking all the stuff here. She's pocketing most, or as far as I know, she's pocketed all of it because she sure as fuck ain't giving any of it to us. The insurance company called and wanted to know who was paying the house insurance. And then when I stopped down to pay my car insurance, they wanted to know if I was going to pay the other one. I said no. I go that my sister's the one that's in charge of the trust. She should be paying that, and she's not. And there's literally, if you're poor and you don't have any money, apparently you can steal like a motherfucker in the county of Rock County. You know, because nobody's locked her up, nobody's thrown her and maybe my brother-in-law in jail and said, hey, you're gonna be here until you give him that fucking money. You know, he told you he wanted so much a month a year ago. You know, you're gonna live up to the laws of that trust, or you're going to maybe legally, I don't know, but it just seems like there should be something there. If you know, and like, you know, when she was poking around during the first annuity that she fucked with, that should be. I was told flat out if like two different financial people, an insurance person and another bank person, said, well, if we talk to your sister about your benefits, that'd be illegal. Well, then why wasn't when she did what she did? And the only reason she didn't get any of that is they followed the law. They wouldn't talk to her. But we got a lawyer from my mom's letter saying there was money for us at Old National Bank, and there was money for us at uh, the one brokerage house that's just down the street. And I don't want to talk to anybody. Just do follow the law and give us the fucking money. I talked to somebody at Old National Bank, and I told them, I go, I want the fucking. This was like almost a year ago. Still ain't gotten any money from them. And so I just don't know. But like when the money runs out and when I don't have, I would really like a better option. And like, you know, if things change, that's great. That's absolutely great. You know, if the UAW or GM wanted to make up for what happened to me when I was there, that would be great. But I would still be asking for this. If I win the lottery tomorrow, I would still be asking for this because money would help in the short term, but I am pretty sure I was drugged or poisoned for bringing up quality issues when I worked at General Motors. And even if I had all the money in the world, my health is getting worse. And I would still like this in there because I don't want to be like my mom, where, you know, she basically starved to death. She basically died of thirst in hospice. And the hospice people, I think, did everything legally they could. I think they were great. I think they did everything they were. I think they went above and beyond with what they could or should do, and they were great. I don't want to die like that. I don't want to die homeless. I don't want to die stealing for shit. I really don't. So, you know, hey, get that done. And I really don't. And then the other thing, I gotta say, and I'm gonna ask you, it either came out this morning or yesterday, but I did a video and it's a little long, but please watch it. It's up on YouTube now. You got it's still on Twitch. If you want to watch it here, you can go watch it on my, and the links are in my account there. But go and watch it and reach out. And this one here, there is an amendment that was created by Chuck Schumer for UFO disclosure. And I think it's going to do so much more than that. And I got to be honest with you. I am not going to sit there and blow sunshine up your ass and tell you, oh, yeah, you know, that thing passes. We're definitely, you know, they're going to give us fucking ET's home address. We're going to get his fucking Twitter account. We'll be able to talk to I'm not going to say that because it's entirely possible that what we're going to find out is that this whole UFO thing was some kind of a disclosure thing so that the military industrial contracts could steal money. It was a distraction. I mean, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying I think it's at least possible. And it could be, I don't think we're going to get to where it's all ET. I honestly don't think that's what's going to happen. And, but I think it could be a hybrid. I think there could be, because this is what I think happened with the one guy. He, and I'm going to keep harping on this because when I found this, I was a little upset that it happened to somebody who was a military veteran. But there was this guy, World War II, he was in the Coast Guard. Skills he learned with radio and stuff like that, he turned into a career when he got out of the military. And he built and built and built until he could finally open his own company. And all of this came from the YouTube channel, The Y-Files. It was from like a year or so ago. I had never heard this one before, or at least if I did, I don't remember it. And this guy was getting military contracts He was not quite, but he was a little similar to Bigelow, the guy that used to own the Skinwalker Ranch. He built up this company, got military contracts. He moved close to where the military base he was working with was, so he could be, just a drive away down the road. And it's a lot like what you see on Skinwalker Ranch, where he was getting these multi-gigahertz signals, and in the 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 range, something like that. And he started using his skills that he learned in World War II, and he thought he was actually cracking some kind of a code and could talk to him. Well, the story goes there was a guy. I might get the guy's name wrong, but I think it's Doty. He was in a covert department in the Air Force. And he was running and this I'm pretty sure is true because I've ran into this guy before. I hadn't heard this story before. I'd heard about like the Dulce, New Mexico underground tunnel story. This is where I think it started, is with this guy. And he basically was running this program, and they hacked into his computer and all this other shit. They hacked into his computer, all this other. He ended up in a fucking nut house over it. And he ended up dying in that nut house. He never got out. I think his family had to take over the business. Probably lost his government contracts. But they were fucking with his head. And, Doty was doing it to others. And the Y-Files speculated that that's why he lost. I don't know if they retired him or if they fired him, but that's why he lost his job with the military. And what happened was, because as far as I know, it is absolutely illegal to run a disinformation campaign. Well, unless you're in Congress. If you're in Congress, it's okay. You can basically call for the president's son to come. So you can smear him and make it look like he's something he's not, guilty of crimes like your party creates. And then what happened was he agreed to come testify. Well, now they're like, oh, you can come. We're going to have a classified, we're going to have an in-house briefing. We won't do it public. And his lawyer said, look, we're not coming if it ain't going to be public. We're not going to, and again, I don't know how that's going to work out because I think they still got a right to do it. But, they're basically, it sounds like they're saying they're not. Well, the thing is, I got a feeling the DOJ will not prosecute if the Congress tries to do criminal charges or criminal referral. I don't think the DOJ is really going to prosecute. If they do, and I'm not kidding you, if they do, the president should appoint a special counsel. I mean, seriously. If the DOJ keeps up with their shit where they don't want to prosecute real crimes and they want to keep prosecuting these imaginary ones, which is what they've been doing. It started with Comey, where Comey fucking swept under the rug all the shit that Trump was doing so they could fuck with Hillary, costing her the election, helping Russia implant Donald Trump as a president. And that was the whole thing. If it was fair, they either shouldn't have said anything about Hillary, or they should have told the truth. Like, well, hey, Hillary did this. She ran a secure server that, unlike the State Department, because even Colin Powell came and said, look, I was under the same problem. I was running my shit on my email address, too, because he didn't trust the State Department stuff, and they couldn't get it fixed. And, you should have told the truth. Well, yeah, she's guilty. She ran all her stuff on a private server that was way more secure than the State Department. Oh, and by the way, Trump's selling us out to fucking Russia. That should have been the fucking thing we were told. And I'm sorry, Comey. He couldn't charge her. After all the fucking bullshit that he did, he should have came out and said, hey, I fucked up. I'm offering my resignation. Hillary's been cleared. We are not prosecuting. We found nothing we could prosecute. I'm resigning. I'm asking Hillary. That's what he should have done. And what it is, he came out and he's like, well, yeah, we didn't find anything to prosecute Hillary on, but here's all the stuff I don't like about it. I think she did this. And this is a department he was probably not qualified, especially after what he did after what he did to Hillary. He probably wasn't even qualified to have his job at the DOJ. He definitely wasn't qualified to have her job at the State Department. And but he came out and I didn't like the fact that she did this. Was it illegal? If it is, why aren't you? Well, it wasn't illegal. Well, then shut the fuck up. There should have been somebody like, and again, the attorney general. They needed an attorney general like Janet Reno. She would have stood up to some of this bullshit. But the two that Obama had were fucking jokes. I mean, it was bad. And that one guy that worked for Obama, he basically, this was in the middle of Trump's presidency. He's like, well, that's going to be a matter for the next attorney general, and I don't think I'd be charging Trump for what he did. I just, like Garland, I don't think I'd be charging anything. I'd just sweep it under the rug, and I would join hands with Senator Collins and think, well, he's learned his lesson this time. No, he isn't going to learn his lesson until he ends up in prison. That's when he'll learn his fucking lesson. And I'm sorry, if you're too stupid to figure that out, you're too stupid to hold office as an attorney general or anywhere else in the Justice Department. You shouldn't even be a fucking process server if you're that fucking stupid. But he, I'm going off. But yeah, anyways, let's get back into something a little more useful than this. The other news is, now this is UFO news, but yeah, you need to get that amendment of Chuck Schumer's passed. We need it passed. We don't need any fucking carve-outs. None of that Republican bullshit to protect anybody. If you did it, you did it. Fucking, just send them to jail. If they broke the law, send them to jail. If they did shit's illegal, fucking hold them accountable. If they did anything like unfair trade practice, put those companies out of business, take the fucking stuff they have and put it up for auction for other aerospace companies. Just fucking do it. I honestly think there is a chance that the reason why Hunter Biden has been charged and that Senator Mendoza has been charged is because somebody is manipulating the Justice Department. And after Comey, after Bill Barr, after Garland, the last two attorney generals and the last FBI director and also a previous deputy attorney general, don't tell me that they can't be manipulated for evil purposes. Garland, the guy that our savior, the one that was supposed to be the fucking Supreme Court. I think we dodged a huge fucking bullet when he didn't get accepted into the Supreme Court. That guy let the Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security destroy evidence. I think they've got most of it now, but we'd have all of it. Not some, not part of it, but all the fucking evidence. If he would have ordered those phones seized. He's a fucking joke. He is a fucking disgrace and a joke. And I don't know why Biden hasn't fired him for cause. Fired him for incompetence. Fired him for obstruction of justice. Fired him for impersonating an attorney general. I don't really give a fuck. He should have done something by now. This is just wrong. And but I think they are manipulating Hunter Biden, and I think they may have manipulated that Senator Mendez so they could try and put pressure on the Senate and put pressure on the White House to make some of this UFO disclosure stuff go away because they don't want it. They literally don't want it. When Senator Gillibrand and I would like to see her amendment and Mark Rubio's, unless it's redundant. And nobody has specifically said that. It sounds like the one Schumer is pushing for is better. It sounds like it is absolutely better. And so that would be fine. But as long as it isn't redundant, as long as it isn't needed, I would like to see Senator Gillibrand and Senator Mark Rubio bipartisan. And I think fucking Rubio's a dumbass, but it's this looks like it might be a good one. And that one was for the intelligence community because the ones Schumer has is only for the defense. And we just found out, this just came out. I think it's the Daily Mail. I don't know them. It's not a news source I'm familiar with. But News Nation was pimping them up. They released a story stating that News Nation, you go on YouTube, look on News Nation, they've got several clips on their YouTube channel talking about this. I think there's 3 of them. There might be more, but I think there's 3 of them that I have seen where they're talking about this. But the story from the Daily Mail is that there is a secret group in the CIA that is in charge of UFO retrievals. Don't know if it's true. I do think we need to get to the bottom of it, but I don't know that it's true. But that's their story, and that they've recovered 9 UFO craft. 2 of them are intact. And again, they didn't go into a lot of detail. The story just broke, I think, yesterday. But I would say when they're saying that they're intact, that they might be functional. And again, the more you hear about this stuff, the more it makes Bob Lazar look good. Because he said there was the one craft he worked on, they could do stuff with it. I think he said that thing went out and they could fly it around. And but that's the thing, and it was the CIA unit was mentioned, and then they gave like a little flow chart. You know, the CIA hears about a UFO incident, they contact JSOC, the Joint Strategic Operation Command, I think. They're like special forces guys, and it sounds like it's usually the Air Force. They contact them. They saddle up, they go recover it, they bring it back, they file an initial report, I think, and then they turn it over to the military contractors, aerospace people. And, you know, this, and they had a congressman. It doesn't sound like this is bullshit, because they had a sitting congressman in, and he goes, well, yeah, we need to get to the bottom of this. And then they had Ross Coulthard on, and the thing he was talking about was, hang on, I want to get, okay, Power 4 mending, flame, that might be oh, I don't have punch there. Okay, so I need the punch one. Okay, I'll have to grab some more bows. I really wish that I had a skeleton farm. I ain't found one of them yet. I got a zombie farm. I need some arrows. Actually, I think I can buy some. I think I've got, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I got some arrow villagers I can trade with. But that's what they reported. Well, then they had Ross Coulthard on, and when he was talking, he said that his contacts, and it sounds like he's got them in the Defense Department at a fairly high level, in the Intelligence Department at least a moderate level, and in Congress. And from what he's hearing is there are way more than 9 craft that have been recovered. And so this is like a huge fucking story. But I did this one the other day. I highly recommend you go watch it. Tell your friends. And we need to get those amendments passed. They can't have any carve-outs. Like this goes back to Lou Elizondo. He was talking about it, where we need amnesty. We can get to the bottom of it. No, they can't have any amnesty. They got to learn from the Republican Party. If there's amnesty, it'll happen again. Maybe not on UFOs, but it'll happen on something else again. They have to be seen putting these people away. The only type of amnesty they have should be in the form of immunity, like they normally do. Like, you've got some shitty fucking people that worked for Trump down in Georgia. They've been given immunity or a plea deal. I think one person got immunity. Everybody else got increasingly shittier and shittier deals. But I can see that. Like, if they get a rat that wants to squeal on his friends, by all means, offer him a deal. If they don't want, I mean, you don't have to give them the store. You can offer them a reasonable deal. If you've got pretty much low-level people, especially if they were threatened or intimidated, maybe you give them immunity for their testimony. Maybe you give them a better than average deal, as long as they turn evidence on the other. And you need to get going on this. We need it, because the way Ross is talking, if we don't get this year, it'll likely be years before anybody fucking does anything with it again. And so hopefully we'll get that. Oop, no. And let's get going on this. But yeah, that was huge news there. The other thing that's kind of big news is, and again, this is not UFO related, but it's been like a smorgasbord of bullshit in the last couple days. Uh, well, actually, this one is UFO related. My understanding is it's being reported that there is three senators that are blocking disclosure. They are blocking this amendment by Chuck Schumer, and I'm sorry, that needs to stop. That really needs to stop. And I'm taking my time because I want to build up some emeralds. Um, so don't go ahead and comment and say, oh, well, you could have done that. Yeah, I know I could have bought more stuff, but I want to build up my supply of emeralds because I don't have my emerald farm going yet. And okay, and then I need to get a shovel. Yeah, a shovel and a hoe. But that's something. And again, it's according to Tim Burchett, and I really don't know. I don't think I honestly don't think he's a bad guy, but I think he's a bad legislator, except for on one key issue. On this UFO one, he seems to be rock solid. And the rest of it, I don't think he's a bad person like some of them. I think it's just ideology. Um, I really do. I don't. He seems like a nice enough guy. He seems like a guy. I worked with a guy like this. He was an old Vietnam. I don't think Burchett ever served. Neither did I. I'm a civilian bucket of shit. I'm being completely honest about that. But there's this guy I worked with. He was an old Vietnam vet, and if you could keep him off politics, he's one of the most decent people you could ever fucking meet. But when you got him on the subject of war and politics, he came off like a fucking person that became a traitor because they were off their fucking meds. There were stories, and I don't know if they're more than stories. All I'm going to say is if they turned out to be true, I would believe them. But there were stories that he was in one of those units in Vietnam where they would cut the ears off of people and make them into a necklace. And I'm not saying it's true, but the way he acted on some stuff, if it turned out it was true, I would have no problem accepting it. None whatsoever. When he got on that, he was just deranged. He was like proto MAGA. With believing all this stupid shit. He was like he was a proto version of it. Just unbelievable. And But again, on any other subject, you know, and I think that's the boat that Burchett's in. I think he's in there. I think it's just he's deranged, and you know, on certain issues. But on this one here, and I think he even goes a little far, because he's one of those ones that you know, and I don't mean this in a bad way, because like I said, I really don't think he's a bad person, but I think he's one of those people that is just an anti-government person. You know, I don't think he's a full-blown Sovsit nut job, but I think under the right circumstances, he could be turned into a sovereign citizen. I really do. And you know, but again, a lot of what he's saying makes sense. Where he didn't want to give anybody any money, he just wants them to declassify stuff. And I will say that when you talk about, like, if you want to talk about that UFO that crash landed in Texas, I want to say it was around 1910. It was either in the very, very beginning of the 19th century or right at the end of the 18th. But I want to say it's around 1910, 1911. There was a UFO that crashed, allegedly. And the person that was piloting was still alive, and he actually lived with the community. And then when he died, they buried him. And there's actual newspaper reportings. Apparently, somebody from the military. Now, I don't know if they took it upon themselves, like they lived there, or if they were sent there. But somebody, an officer from the army, basically investigated, and it was his opinion that this was not a human. You know, they got the article. You know, and on this, I don't care if you believe in UFOs or not. You don't really want to be like the birthers denying the reports in papers that Obama was born in Hawaii. You don't want to be that fucking stupid. And you know, there's newspaper articles. There's one newspaper article about it, and you know, and again, there's a lot more, but that one right there, it was a local paper. Uh, it you know, it's like, why did they write it? You know, they didn't know that this was going to go viral. It was just a local story. You know, hey, E.T. was here. You know, he died. He didn't get the phone home. And, you know, so there's indication of that, like with Roswell. I don't know how you feel about Roswell, but I believe that there was a UFO at Roswell. And the reason I believe that is because the military told us. The only bomber unit, the only air unit that was allowed to drop nuclear weapons, I would say that is the textbook definition of the tip of the fucking spear. I really do. These guys, their intelligence officer, again, if these guys were idiots, they wouldn't be there. If they completely fucked this up, they would have been transferred. They would have been demoted. They would have been thrown out of the fucking military. And again, I'm a civilian bucket of shit, but I am fairly clear that that is a rational opinion to have of the military. They don't usually suffer fuck ups badly. I mean, you got a thing in the Navy. If you got a captain, if he's the captain of the ship, even if he's asleep in his cabin, even if he's fucking somebody, you know, even if he's off the ship on vacation or shore leave and he's fucking some hooker in Bangkok, if somebody under his command runs that ship, that submarine or that vessel into another vessel, oh, it's foggy. They don't give a fuck. They do not give a fuck about the fucking excuses. Oh, well, we couldn't see that under. It doesn't care. That captain's usually done. He's got a desk job somewhere. He's got to go somewhere else. You know, he's no longer captain, and he wasn't there. Even if the person disobeyed a direct order they were given, that usually ends the career of that captain's job. So you're not going to convince me that these guys went out there, saw what was clearly a fucking weather balloon, and fucking told their boss and got their boss to fucking sign off on reporting it to the newspaper. Hey, we found an alien spaceship. And they weren't punished for it. You're not going to convince me that's not the way the military works. That's how fucking Enron works. That's how the GOP works. That is not how the military works, you know. So but that there's stories out there that, I mean, you take a look at the one. It was the Rendlesham Forest. I can't tell you that off the top of my head. I can't tell you the name of the base, but it was a joint base in England. It was American and British, and my understanding is it happened more than one night where there was something in the forest near the base. And the first night, or at least the first time it happened, I'm aware of two incidents. The first one, I'm not sure they really figured out what it was. Well, then I think it was either the next night or it was 2 nights later, it happened again. And the deputy base commander, he went himself out with the security teams. And he took a little recording device, and it wasn't like today where you could go and film hours and hours of shit and have the room for it and the battery life for it. This was a thing where he'd start it and he'd just leave a quick little note of what they were encountering, you know. And the best, and this sort of ties in with something Marco Rubio did. They're they talked to a guy, and I don't know if he was actually the Minister of Defense in England, and it might be I saw two different people, but I saw him in two, and I just saw him recently. I didn't see these back in the day, and he reminds me of that character Major in Faulty Towers. I mean, just the look. He didn't act like him, but just the look. And if you ask your grandparents, maybe they saw Faulty Towers. It was a TV show that one of the people from the Monty Python guys group did. I think he did it back in the 80s. And but what happened was this guy was asked about it, and he said, "Well," he goes, and they gave you the year that he was active, which was in the 70s, I think. And I honestly can't remember because the one I saw, I swear, and maybe I'm getting this wrong. The one I saw, it really sounded like they billed him as the Minister of Defense, and it was either the same guy or it was a different guy that they interviewed, and he said pretty much the same thing. I think it was him, but he basically had a different title. He wasn't listed as the Minister of Defense. He was somebody higher up in the Ministry of Defense. But basically, the thing he said, he goes, first of all, I got to tell you, I have no privileged information. He goes, I am aware of what the public is aware of. He goes, that happened after my time, and I was never given any briefings on it. I only know what's been publicly disclosed. But he goes, I can only see one of two conclusions on that. He goes, one, it was true. And two, that either all or most of a military base had a shared delusion on multiple occasions. He goes, I can't see any other answer to that, and you can see like, oh yeah, because I might not have thought of that. I didn't think about it till I heard him say it. And this is the type of people you need in some of these sensitive positions. You need people that can come to quick and decisive decisions like that. Even when I was healthy, I'm not sure I would have come up with that on my own. I really don't. And but that he's like, hey, it's one or the other. He goes, I can't think of a third option. And he said, either one for a nuclear armed military base on UK soil is unacceptable. You need to get the answers of what was really going on there. And and that was something Marco Rubio said when he was asked about it. And the thing that gets me, and this is where I think these guys are being pressured. I think what happened to Senator Menendez, I think what's going on with Hunter Biden's son, because originally you had multiple members of the Senate that were just out charging on this. You had members of the House that were out charging on this. They were giving interviews. They were speaking out like Senator Schumer got there late. Rubio and Gillibrand, they were out there. And I think somebody else even tried to take credit because when I first heard about it, it sounds like it was coming from Gillibrand and Marco Rubio's subcommittee. And then it was like a week or two, maybe a month later, it sounded like the head of the main committee was trying to take credit for it. My understanding is that was Senator Gillibrand and Rubio spearheading that. And, Gillibrand was probably in the lead because she's currently in the majority in the Senate. But Rubio was right there, and he was out giving. He gave this one, and he really looked nervous. He looked shook, and he basically said, he goes, well, he goes, we've got people that are telling us this. These are people with high level security clearances. And he goes, and they still got those security clearances. So he goes, either this is true and we should take a close look at it, or we've got people with high level security clearances that are fucking nuts. I mean, he didn't say that. He said something a little more polite, but that's what I took away from it. He's like, and he's got a good point. But again, it sort of matched up with what that guy said. Like, well, either it's true or we got a problem. And he was saying like, well, either way we got a problem. He goes, either it's true and we got a problem, or we've got people with high level security clearance that are just fucking nuts. And he goes, and I see that as a problem. And and he was, I think, the first one to say that, and it isn't just this one guy. That, because that's when we were starting to find out about Grutch. I think he had already done the interview with News Nation with Ross Coulthart from Australia. He was an Australian journalist. I think he had already given his interview to him, but Rubio came out. He's like, yeah, either way we got a problem. We got to get to the bottom of this. And so I don't know. I literally don't know, but that's what. Oh my God, I'm really glad. This looks like I might have, at least for now, I should have some good streams for you guys. I'm sorry, I really, if I could get the content of my streams to be half as good as what this video looks like right now, I'd be a happy camper. I really would. I can only do what I can do with my health issues, and like I said, I don't really expect anything out of this. If you don't mind, hit that like button on Twitch. Go over to YouTube and follow me there. Just the free stuff. It's not spending money on me. Just seems like a waste of time. It really does. But I'll do what I can. But yeah, just either one of those. Let's get legalized suicide, assisted suicide legalized, and let's get these amendments passed. If we've got people in the government that are breaking the law, if we've got people in the government that are doing unfair trade practices and costing people their jobs, costing companies to go out, causing investors to lose money, kind of like what's going on with Fox News now, let's get these people in jail. Let's put a stop to this. This might be the second biggest thing that's going on right now. It really might be. And the other thing I'm going to say is with the shit that's going on with the Republican Party and others, I am firmly of the belief that some of these stories you hear that we're like an agricultural experiment or something like that, I am literally going to say, and I'm sorry, there's a lot of good in this world, there really is, but I think the fucking evil in the world is starting to outmatch it. And there's signs of life. This is another news story. There's this fucking, I'm going to call him evil. I'm going to call him an evil son of a bitch. He's a cardinal or grand cardinal in America. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Vatican retired him shortly after this new pope got in there. Because he's one of the evil ones in the Catholic Church. I don't mean this I'm being honest. This is a guy that I think may have been involved in at least in covering up the child abuse scandal, where the priests were. I think he was involved in covering it up. This is a guy that basically preaches nothing but hate and intolerance, And I might be wrong. I'm going from memory, so bear with me. I think this is the guy. I think the reason he got retired is because he was pushing all this, anti-gay and other bullshit out there. And it was around the time when this Pope first came in. It wasn't like day one. I'm not saying it was day two, but it was. I would say it was like first 6 months to a year that new Pope was in there, and he started telling people that he wanted the Catholic Church to get back to its core mission of helping people. And that was his thing. He wanted the Catholic Church to start helping people, and he put it out there. And I'm sorry, like the stuff they were saying in this article where he was bad mouthing the Pope and not following the Pope's instructions. This is like a fucking colonel. This is literally like a colonel bad mouthing or working against the president or the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It's fucking stupid. And but that's what he was doing back then. And the Pope came out and said, "Hey, we got to get back to helping people. And we got to stop treating Jesus and God like they're out of a Harry Potter movie where they just wave a magic wand and do stuff. We got to get back. We got to get real. And because I think this is the guy. I think he's out of New York. And the story that I heard, and this was years, I think I was still technically working. I don't know how healthy I was when this happened, and I might be remembering it wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, this is when that's what I think. I think he was retired by the Pope, and he didn't learn his fucking lesson. Like Linda, he didn't fucking listen. And, that one video that's on the internet with that little fucking bastard, the one that should have been probably beaten or fucking given up for adoption, where he's like, Linda, you have to listen, and then, and she just didn't want to listen to his bullshit. But that's the way this guy, he was like that little kid. He didn't fucking listen, he a little fucking asshole. And, but I think he got retired, and the story was like, it was like when he got retired, there were people around him in America, and they're like, well, who did this to you? And his comment was, he goes, you know damn well who did it. It was the fucking Pope. Or someone that was carrying out the Pope's orders. We're done with this shit. The Pope set the message. And it was, again, I'm not a big fan of organized religion, but that's the way their shit works. When it comes down, basically it comes down from God to Moses, the stone tablets, and then the Pope. He tells you what to fucking do. I don't really feel sorry for the guy. Well, he basically just lost his Vatican apartment, and he's not getting his salary anymore as a retired member of the church. Well, he's the newest member to the Catholic Fuck Around and Find Out Club. And I don't feel too bad for him, but that's a new piece of news. Another one is... it sounds like, and again, I've been kind of big on this, and there was this one dipshit. I can't think of the moron's name, but he's one of these House members from down south, and I think he might be 2/3 of a moron or half a fucking moron, because a lot of them don't fucking get it, and this went viral like maybe a month ago, at least a couple weeks, but I think it was more like a month or so ago. And I kind of responded to him. I was surprised, he's actually on Threads. Or his media offices. Something connected to him, allegedly, is on Threads. But he went viral when he stood up on the floor of the House. And he was asking, he goes, any Republican out there, any Republican lawmaker out there, can you explain to me what I can go home to my voters and run on? What can I go home and tell them that I did? And I can tell you nothing. There ain't a fucking thing. You got Jim Jordan, you got Matt Gaetz, you got at least 20, maybe closer to 50, 60, maybe between 20 and 100 at least. I don't think it's the whole caucus, but there's at least 20 or 30 of them. They don't want to do anything. They're there to shut things down and just be an asshole. They are mentally with the people that came in and shit on the floors and pissed on the walls. They don't do it. It's like that one thing, and I can't remember what, I think it's down in Georgia, but it's one of them southern states. There were two black guys that got elected, and they're very well spoken. Okay, now granted, when they get upset, they can thunder a little bit, but they're very well spoken. They're very they don't sound like gangbangers. They sound like people with an education. And they went in there and here's the thing, even when they sound like gangbangers, don't get hung up on how well they speak. Get hung up on the value of what they're saying. There was this guy I worked with down in Indiana a number of years ago. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I'm really, I don't want to rag on anybody because I'm not that good at writing anyways. I'm never going to be a novelist. Like my guidance counselor never pulled me aside and said, man, you should really author books when you get out of school. There was none of that. But this guy here, holy shit. It was a train wreck when he would write stuff on Facebook and that. It was a train wreck. So if you wanted to be like a puncture Nazi or something like that, oh, you had plenty of fucking material. And the other thing is, and a lot of time when I'm online, I could write better, I really could, but it's online. I'm not getting paid for it. So I just want to, all I care about is getting the idea out, getting the message out. I don't care if it looks perfect or not. I really don't. But even if I really devoted some effort to it, it's never going to look all that good. I'm not a professional writer. But this guy here, I mean, never. I got a feeling that he would have been happy if he could get his half as well written as mine, punctuation wise or whatever, and spelling. The autocorrect must have been broke on his. But like, if you didn't get hung up on that, but you focused on what he was saying, there was a lot of value in his comments and shit. There really was. And usually it was, the people that were making fun of him for that, these people couldn't argue with him. He had them factually. So they had to find something to fucking rag on it about to make him look bad. And, but they, but they, anyways, I'm starting to fade. I'm gonna end the stream a little bit. I got more work to do, but as you can see, I'm slowly, because I got it today. I got my bows back. I got a pickaxe now. I just got to work on getting a shovel and a hoe, and then getting and I'm not even halfway there because I got to get the enchantments back on them. But I am working on it, and I can maybe, now that I got a few tools, I can get some stuff done. But yeah. Anyways, oh yeah, the Pope, and so he did that, and then this Matt Gaetz. I'm a little upset about this because this is a guy that they look like they had him dead to rights on having sex with minors, paying to have sex with minors, human trafficking minors across state lines to other people. This is a guy that probably should not get out of jail in his lifetime. What that one guy, you can only imprison man for one lifetime, but it sounds like they had him. They got his little co-conspirator. They were offering him a deal to turn evidence on this. It sounds like he's not real popular down in Florida now because he sounds like he wants to run for governor. But it sounds like maybe they're going after, but again, they're not going after him, I would say, in Congress because they think this is the right thing to do to Republicans. They're going after it because he pissed them off. And it's like, and the fucking Garland, that guy's a fucking joke. He's a Democrat. But really with Democrats like him, who needs the Republican Party? He dropped the ball on this, didn't want to charge him. Looks like being a rich Republican, you can basically fuck and traffic young women as long as you're a rich Republican. But my God, if Hunter Biden did what he did, he'd probably already be in jail. It'd be a done deal. If Senator Menendez did what this guy did, he'd probably be in jail. And to me, this is just wrong. If you're gonna have to have one standard for Republicans and one standard for Democrats. And the other thing is, when you look at this guy, I kind of wonder if the reason why he was let go is because there was somebody, again, manipulating the Justice Department, manipulating the government, that basically went and told him, hey, we'll make your legal problems go away, but when we tell you to, we need you to shut the government down because you're going to help us derail and slow down that amendment so we can protect the military, we can protect the intelligence, and we can protect the military industrial complex. I firmly believe that that looks like it really could be what's going on. And I'm sorry, that's wrong as hell. And oh, I know I forgot what I was going to say, and I remember now. But the I had it just a minute ago. I really did. I honestly can't remember. I just had it. I just had it a second ago. I literally did. Uh, but no, the anyways. But yeah, we need to get moving on that. And this is the thing when I was doing those JFK podcasts. There's always a handful of shit I forgot at the end of it, but and I'd remember it like a little bit later. But yeah, the um, oh, that senator, or that congressman. I wish I could remember that dipshit's name, but he did. He want to know what can I do? What can I do? What have we done? And I told him, I go, look, I don't know if you want to hear, but I go, I'm not in your cult in Congress or across the country, but I go, if you want if you want some advice, I go, I can tell you what's going on. I go, you guys are a joke. I go, I honestly think everybody that was capable of standing up to the lies, standing up to the stupidity, you've run them out of the party. I go, I think Kinzinger and Liz Cheney were the last really good ones that you had. And I go, and your other ones, you've had people like Congressman Buck, and I think there's a couple other ones. They I don't think they were like this. I think they were bad, but I think they saw what was going on and they're like, look, we're going to lose our party or our country. And they didn't want to be a part of that. They really didn't. They just didn't want to be a part of it. And I told them, I go, you've got a guy in Florida who looks like he's a child molester. He was raping and human trafficking young women, and you guys have given him a pass so you can fuck around with Hunter Biden over something that ain't even really a big thing. One of the laws he's charged of is and it's their party doing this, but one of the laws he's been charged with breaking, they're trying to get the Supreme Court to strike it down as unconstitutional. Um, Another one, and I don't know if that's the same law or another one, but the one of the former prosecutors, they go, we've never seen this used on something where there wasn't a crime committed. She goes, I can't, I've looked, and she goes, I can't find one case where this law was used to put somebody in jail unless there was an underlying crime. Like the gun that it involves was actually used to rob, steal, kill somebody, threaten somebody. He doesn't even own the gun anymore. Just possessing it, it's never been used to put somebody in jail for that. And I go, you guys are a joke. It's like you get these witnesses you call. You're going to bring in these witnesses, and it turns out that they're wanted for being a Russian spy or a Chinese spy. They're guilty of gun running. They're a fucking oligarch. I go, you bring in these people who were working for the FBI, and I go, they've already been fired or suspended for failing to do their job properly, mishandling evidence, not following procedure. And I go, these are your witnesses. I go, that one chairman you got, he was talking about a guy, and then, when they were asked, well, when can we talk to this guy? He goes, oh, we don't know where he is. And they're like, you lost him? Well, yeah, we're hoping we can find him. Well, yeah, he was on the run because he was a wanted criminal by the FBI. And so I did that like maybe a month before I'm hearing that Gates is now looking at more. So maybe they finally, but again, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck that he's doing this. until it causes him a problem. It's like Chris Christie. He just did an interview. I saw the clip of it today on YouTube. I don't really follow the douchebag again. Um, but he basically was being asked if he'd vote for Trump if he was the nominee, and he goes, I can't. He goes, I'm a former prosecutor, U.S. attorney. He goes, I can't vote for somebody that's a felon. And, again, I think this guy's useless. I think he's less than useless. But the guy goes, well, he hasn't been indicted yet. And he goes, I already view him as guilty. Because he said they got his chief of staff. He goes, they got his chief of staff, and he goes, I'm pretty sure he's going to be convicted. But here's the thing with Christie. Christie and so many of these people that are in the Republican Party, they don't give a fuck that Trump broke the law. They really don't, because, we knew Trump was a piece of shit when he went into that re-election. Fucking Christie was helping him get re-elected. Mitch McConnell and other ones, they were helping him get re-elected. If those people were really against him being a criminal piece of shit, they would have indicted him the first time. They definitely would have indicted him the second time and gotten him out of office in the Senate. There's a video of Mitch McConnell where he was saying, well, yeah, the Democrats are going to get rid of Trump for us. And he goes, when that indictment gets to the Senate, there's going to be, enough senators to convict him in the Senate. So he's gone. He failed. He absolutely failed. And we're seeing this shit now where, if you listen to the career prosecutor, if you listen to the retired judges, they will tell you with absolute certainty that what Trump has done, if any other criminal defendant had done it, even a fraction of it. You take a look at those classified documents. You take that girl, if you haven't seen it, if you get a chance, watch that movie called Reality Winner. That girl did just a fraction, like 1% of what Trump did. She didn't do it to line her pockets. She didn't do it to hurt America. She did it to help America. She constantly, and I got to tell you, that girl that played her is fucking sexy as hell. Very beautiful, very talented actress. But that makes it worth watching right there. But she did a fraction of it. And what it was is she was sitting there. She was someone that saw classified information. And every time she would see on the press Republicans, people from the DOJ, people from the Republican Party, people from Trump's campaign or administration go on TV and lie saying there were no connections between Trump and Russia. I can actually throw this up on Threads. No connections between Trump and Russia. She saw classified documents that showed that was a lie. And unlike Comey, who fucking hid it so Russia could get Trump installed, unlike Comey, who lied about it and hid it so that Trump could steal an election, she decided to release it to the American people. That's what she did. I don't consider that hurting America. I consider that helping America. She had to go to jail. She did like maybe 1% of what Trump did, and she did it in a good way. She broke the law. Guilty's guilty. But she did something that was, it's like one of those things where, yeah, technically, during Katrina, it was illegal to break into a store and steal food. That was illegal. And then, at the time, if they were white, the stories were these white people found some food during Katrina. And when it was black people, these black people broke into a store and stole shit. That we got issues in this country. We need to address them. It's wrong. But she was trying to help. She was trying to help protect us from a Russian asset that had become president. When they picked her up, she had to sit in jail until after her court date. We don't see that with a rich Republican. And you've got some of these judges Instead of denying Trump his right to appeal, instead of saying, no, we'll hear the case in due course, but we're not going to suspend the gag order. We're not going to do this. They're doing this shit where, oh, they suspended a gag order. They did it in New York. They did it in D.C. while they looked at it. And at least they fast-tracked it. So, I mean, can't bash them too much. But these judges, it's kind of like that one guy, that QAnon shaman guy. He got into court after he was put in jail, and I don't know if he was sentenced yet. I think he was awaiting sentencing, but he basically went to a court and said, "Oh, well, they're not feeding me perfect organic food." And that's not like a religious thing. Like if you're a Muslim, you can basically ask for your religious freedom. You can ask for kosher food or not kosher. If you're Muslim, you can basically, I don't know if it's kosher or not, but you can basically say you don't want pork. There's certain food that Jewish people and Muslim people are not supposed to eat. And you can basically, and they've got the food there. Usually got to ask for it, but it's there. And, or at least that's my understanding with it. But like you being a douchebag, vegan, organic motherfucker, that's not a religious thing. And that judge ruled, oh yeah, fucking traitor shaman there, yeah, you have to do that. And the one former prosecutor said, everyone in that district should immediately get a lawyer and start asking for special treatment, because he said if they're doing it for him, they got to do it for others. And they're doing it with Trump. This is a guy, if he was any other criminal shitbag, he'd be in jail for just a fraction. I mean, it ain't even the stuff he's done. Like, they took those gag orders away, and you've now got a clerk in New York that's getting like 7 to 10 death threats a day. And I'm sorry if our country falls, if our democracy falls, and it gets restored, or if it almost falls, or if it doesn't fall, the future history books, and I mean this sincerely, the future history books need to tell the history of Garland's part in this, the judges' part in this. These judges that did not immediately say fuck you when he filed these appeals. And I don't know, some of it, my understanding is, and I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is, being a non-lawyer, I'm not aware how things work. But when that appeals court ruled that Judge Cannon had acted in an unlawful way, with Donald Trump, when they overturned her, this was when that fucking documents case first came up. This judge, she grabbed something that was not in her purview, it was not in her jurisdiction, and she basically ordered a special master for the documents and all this. Well, when they finally got it appealed, they basically told her she acted in an unlawful manner. Well, I'm sorry, but that should be reviewable by the bar. That should be reviewable by the Bar Association or the courts to remove her law license. It really should. And she should have been, it should have been fixed then and there. She can't be a judge anymore. And they didn't do it. I mean, they did a lot. I want to be clear. They did a lot, but they didn't do enough. And I'm not even sure they needed to be approached by a lawyer when, they should have put it in her ruling that after what she did with Trump, she must recuse herself from every case connected in any way, shape, or form to Trump going forward, and that she should recuse herself from anything that involves in any way, shape, or form the Republican Party as a whole. They should do the same thing for Clarence Thomas and somebody needs to rule that, like that. I think it's Alito and Thomas. They can no longer represent any case that in any way, shape, or form involves the Constitution or the Republican Party because they have been bought and paid for. And then instead of being 6-3, you would have 4-3. And then just look for these other judges to fuck up. Because you've got these people, they have legalized bribery for our Supreme Court and our legislators. They absolutely have. And I don't know, I'm kind of rambling now. I'm going to go ahead, I might keep working on this a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm actually really cool, though, that new modem is working. And I might have at least on the visual quality, I might have just a slightly better stream now going forward. Peace out, and hope everybody has a really beautiful day. The sun's coming out. I think it's been out off and on, but the sun's coming out now. So I got this really beautiful picture out the window. And but peace out, and I hope everybody has a great day.